So you've inherited a relative's house. Now what? I'm Veronica Woods, and if you're interested in keeping more money in your pocket, whether you're buying or selling real estate, you'll want to start here by hitting the subscribe button on this Real Estate Wisdom channel. In this video, I will cover the 5 questions you should ask if you inherit a property from a relative. Now, basically, there's 3 options in this scenario. You can decide to live in the property, you can rent it out, or you can sell it. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus on the latter 2 options. So that's either renting the property out or selling it. Now, before I jump into those 5 questions, I do want to make an important note that I think is very important to make these decisions with the counsel of professionals. This is a huge financial decision often for people making decisions about real estate. And in the case of inheriting a property, there may be a lot of emotions involved, a lot of stress. And you want to make the best decision possible to not only honor the memory of the family member, but also their legacy. So I caution you, don't be a penny wise or a pound foolish, whatever their expression is, in the case of getting wise financial advice. Okay, so you heard my spiel about getting the wise advice from professionals. Now I'll jump into my list of those 5 questions. Number 1 is there an agreement on what to do with the property? The more people involved, the more complex this could be. Now, if you get the sense of everyone's not on the same page, the easiest thing may be just to sell the property. If there's a mix of people who want to sell the property and keep the property, those that decide that want to keep the property will have to compensate the others for their share of the investment. Question number 2 is, what is the condition of the property? Now, if you've inherited the property, chances are you haven't lived in this property ever or in quite a few years. So it's important for you to assess what the condition of the property is today. Is the property just dated, meaning it looks like 1985, or are there major repairs that are required? Finding out this kind of level of repairs or preparation to sell really will weigh heavily in the value that you can get on the market for the property today. The second thing to assess is how much personal belongings are in the property from the deceased, or also maybe family members have been storing things there for years. It's really going to be important to make a plan to get those items out, whether you're renting it or selling it, quite frankly. But most important, if you're selling it, to do it on a time frame so that people can really evaluate the whole house and not look at the moose on the wall. I saw that like last week, a property with a estate and had a moose on the wall. And that's what I remember about the property. I don't remember anything about the size. I remember the moose on the wall. And you don't want that to be your family's property. The third thing to ask is, are there any liens on the property? Liens on the property are very important in figuring out how much proceeds or equity is currently in the house or value to the estate. Now, the most common lien is probably going to be a mortgage. So if your relative still has a mortgage, you want to find out, will you be able to just assume the mortgage, continue making payments for a while, or would it be best to refinance it in your name? Now, if you have some doubt or maybe some fear that there may be other liens against the property, it's important for you to run a title search. And in Pennsylvania, you can easily go to a title company, pay $150, and get a full report of any other liens and encumbrances, getting legal here, that would be attached to the property that must be satisfied before you sell it. So that's the important thing. Before you sell a property, you'll have to satisfy any outstanding liens that are attached to the property before you'll be able to transfer the deed into someone else's name. Question number 4 is, does anyone have experience managing rental properties? If you have experience managing rental properties, you know that it's a lot more than just collecting a check every month. It's also keeping a cash reserves in order to handle the unexpected with the property, and customer service with the tenant, and a host of other things. The other thing to consider is, by getting into the rental property business with your family, you are going into business with your family, and likely you'll have to assign someone to take a lead, and everyone else has to be comfortable with that. It can be done, but you have to think about it. As long as you own the property as a group, you are in business with your family. Now, if you find out, or you determine that either no one lives close to the property or has the time or experience to manage the property hands-on, then you'll have to hire a property manager. So that's an option, but that's something that you'll want to, start thinking about sooner rather than later, if you're in the case where you don't have a readily identifiable person that's local that's going to be able to effectively manage the property. Question number 5. What is really best for everyone financially? Well, taking on this new real estate asset, does it cause actually more stress and financial burden for you or your family? Does the family or the estate have other debts and financial obligations you're struggling to meet, where if you, by selling the house, you would then have more cash to work from in order to establish a better financial base all around? It's important to note, and I have a lot of important notes, I know, but the delaying making the decision of what to do for the house adds to the financial burden. By delaying and making no decision, I've heard stories of people kind of keeping houses for years, and everybody just closes the door and think that the decision is going to be made magically for them. It is, but often the decision becomes even more tougher when you have probably the increased likelihood of additional repairs being needed, having the condition of the house deteriorating, being forced to pay for more expensive insurance because now the property is vacant and you're not able to, and you're forced to pay for more expensive insurance. These are all factors that make doing nothing with the house a very financially burdensome non-decision. One important topic that I didn't cover in the course of going over my 5 questions you should ask is taxes. So there could be very different tax implications depending on which option you choose and your own personal financial situation. That's why I said right up front that it's important to get the counsel of professionals. In this case, a tax professional that has some estate planning experience will probably be more helpful. If you want some insight about selling a property vacant versus with a tenant in it, you'll want to check out the video that's appearing now on the screen. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments about anything you saw in this video or anything real estate, please leave them below this video.